Hi friends, today we're going to learn what is called as pattern programming. So I opened a session in Google Colab. Let me rename this with pattern programming. So what exactly is pattern programming, right? So let me open Excel and show it to you. Okay. Now consider if you want to make a pattern in this fashion. Okay. So I want to print a dollar sign in this pattern. That is, the first row will have $1, the second row would have $2, and so on. So total we have 6 rows. Let me draw the border so that you can understand it. Right. Now, how we can achieve this in Python? Okay. Now, the basic things which you have to note while having a pattern programming is two things, right? One, you need 6 rows. Okay. And in each row, you want an incremental of this dollar sign, right? So the best way to go is using for loop. So there is no right and wrong in any of the programming. It's like how you write an efficient code. So there is always chance to improve the existing code. We will try to build a code from scratch and see how we can implement this in Python. Okay. So I'm connecting this. You can use any of the IDE, or you can use Anaconda framework and use Jupyter to do the same. I'm using Google Colab because it's pretty easy and gets saved in your Google Drive. Okay. Now let's start. Now before starting anything or before writing the logic, we need an input from user. Say for example, how many rows they need to print this, right? So currently we have 6. So but we can have 5 rows, we can have 2, or we can have 3 rows, right? Or a number of rows. Let's user decide that. So let user decide that, right? So let me have a input number as a variable. We'll make sure that this is integer, and then we'll ask the user to input that. Please enter the number of rows required. Good. Now I'm always making a habit of write a code and check if it's running, a single line code. I know it's very a tedious job, but then this will help in a long run, right? So I guess this particular code is working fine. So we'll delete that and we'll start writing the logic, right? Now looking at this, we are sure that we need to increment, or we need to have a counter which gets which help us to go from 1 to 6, right? So we'll use a for loop with the help of range. So for row counter in range 1 to num, or the input number, right? Now you know that in range, this is your start number and this is your stop number, and this exclusive of that number, right? So if someone enters, say for example 5, so the range would be from 1 to 4. For that, we'll try to increment that with 1. So if it's 5, number is entered 5 by user, it will be 6. and our range will be from 1 to 6, right, as a semicolon. Now what we need to do, we need to print this dollar sign, and once the counter is increased, then we need to print $2 sign, right? For that we'll do print space, that is we need dollar, right? And we can use the multiplication factor over here and do a run. Let's see what's the result. So I'm entering only 3 for the purpose, please. So what went wrong over here? Okay, so what it's doing is it's having the counter is perfect, so that we entered 3 and we're getting 3 rows, and we only multiplied this with 1, hence in each row we are getting only $1 sign. Now let's replace this with this number, so that each time the counter increases, the multiplication will also get increased. Third, see, it's as simple as that, right? So we can have any number of rows and we'll get the results in this way, right? Is it implemented? So now this will help you to form a logic. So this will be the base of using for loop, and how to get the rows incremented, what are the start and end range, all this concept will get clear. Now we'll take one more example with a bit difficult pattern. Okay, let's say 1 2 3 4 5 6. Okay, let's have one more hollow, and we have pattern something like uh, this. Okay, okay, this is increased, this is increased. Okay, let's, for the sake of time, we'll have this much, right? Now, leave a gap, put a dollar sign here, leave a gap, put a ampersand, sorry, ampersand, put a and put a dollar. Okay, now this is the pattern that we have to uh, start coding in Python. Okay, before getting to solution, if you can stop this video and try for yourself what exactly the code you would or what's the logic or what's the algorithm that you want to put in this. So it need not to be in the Python notebook, just a rough in a pen and pencil paper, take a pen and a paper and then jot down the algorithms or steps that you want to do, and then we can play the video again and check for the solution. Now I'll show the solution how it is, and we'll go step by step, right? Now the first thing is, again, as we did from the earlier example, it asks users to enter the number of rows that has required. I'm going to test this because this has already been tested, right? Now the logic that we're going to use would be, we need 1 2 3 blank spaces, and then this particular ampersand sign to print, right? So it goes like 1 2 3, and the fourth one should be this. Then the next row 1 2 and this, and the third row would be 1 and then print, and fourth would be just print on the exact number. Now it's not only printing this, so this is pretty simple, this hood, this line. But in the second row, we have to print two ampersand sign with a space in between, right? That would be challenge. So let's start building this, okay? Now first loop would be to have this outer loop of how many rows we need, right? So the code would be for I in range from 1 to, as usual, like we did in the last problem, plus 1, right? So this I would be, let me write it over here so that you can understand, right? Okay. So this will increment from 1, 2, 3, and 4. So assuming that user have entered 4 in this code, 4 plus 1 is 5. So the range parameters is start and the end, which is exclusive. So 1, and this will be 4 plus 1, that is 5. So 1 and excluding 5. So we'll have 1 to 4 and then enter. Now the next step is to insert this blank space, right? Now how to insert that blank space? So then the first iteration we need 3 and then 2, 1 and then 0. So for j in range 1, this number minus of I and plus 1, right? So what exactly I'm doing here? When I is 1, it will jump into this loop, okay? Now the input number is 1, right? So 1 minus, sorry, the input number will be your 4. So 4 minus 1 is 3, 3 plus 1 is 4, right? So this particular formula will throw me a number called as 4. Now the range would be from 1 to 4. So 4 will get excluded. So range will be 1 to 3. So this loop will run 3 times, which is what we needed, right? 1, 2, and 3, and then print this number. So we need these spaces, right? These 3 spaces. So to get the space, we'll be using print, right? You don't want to print anything, but right. So if you only write print statement, what it does is by default the end is next line, right? So each time when this loop runs, rather than going to the next line, we need a space in between that. So hence we are giving explicitly mentioning end with a space so that we get this jump. Or else if you are not entering, if you're only entering print like this, so I will be 1. So now current programming line would be in this, right? I will be 1 and our j, okay, j will be 1, right? 1 to 3, right? So 1 to 3. So in first statement it would print this with a blank space, right? Nothing. And then as and when the j gets incremented, it will move to a next line, because print by default will throw the next answer to the next line. Hence we are explicitly mentioning and equals space. Now if you want to see what are the arguments that n takes, the value, normally we put this. So we have a separator if you want, and we have an end. So over here by default, if you're not mentioning a /n, which will give you a next line, but you expressly mentioning a blank space, hence it would stay in the same line, right? Now we're done with this. So we're done with two things. We are able to now loop it, and then we are able to have this blank space. Now our next point is to get this ampersand sign printed. For that, we would require another for loop, right? Say for example, for k in range, right? Now we want to print what? Ampersand. And how many times? I'm sorry, for range 1, 2. Now what would be the end statement for this? It would be similar to what we have in this, right? Now when I is 1, we need here only one ampersand, right? So let's have I plus 1, right? Now when I is 1, this would be 1 with starting point, and 1 plus 1, that is 2. So range would be from 1 to 2. So the last stop, we normally don't include this, so the range is from 1 to 1. So the loop will be only run one time, and if loop is only running one time, all you have to do is print the ampersand sign and then go to the end and give a space, right? Cool. Now consider if I is 2, okay? So when the loop will comes to this, so it will be from k, sorry, this is this, okay. It will be 1 comma 2 plus 1. 2 plus 1 is 3, okay? The range will be from 1 to 3. We're not including 3 in this as per the Python programming language, and the loop will be running only 2 times, 1 to 2. So it will print this $sign and give a space, and it will wait for the next iteration, and it will print the $sign again, and then goes, right? Now what we have achieved, now we have achieved this loop, we have achieved this blank space, as well as this blank space, as well as this printing of this ampersand. Now once we print this ampersand sign, we have to move the cursor to the next line, print this, give a space, and print this, right? That is printing this space is taken care by this particular end statement, right? But we're not taking care of how the cursor or how the pointer will move to the next line. So it's pretty simple. After we are finishing this, for just use the blank print statement. Okay, now let's try to run this and see how it works. Okay, it has a syntax error, invalid syntax. What went wrong? Oh, it's I in range. Okay. Okay. Issue. Let's run. Okay, fine. Okay. Then we'll enter 5 and enter. Right. So we have 2, 3, 4, and we have pattern which is similar to this. Over here 4, so let's run 4. Okay, so explain once again how it works. Okay, here and users enter 4. Okay, over here now I will be from 1 to input number is 4 plus 1, that is 4 plus 1. So basically your I will be from 1 to 5. Now in this your j would be from 1 to input number is 4 minus your I in the first iteration would be 1, right, and you're plussing, you're adding 1 to that. So basically the first iteration your j would be from 1 to 4, right. Now so how many times this loop will run? It will run 3 times because the start is 1, your end is 4, and we don't include 4, so it will run from 1 to 3. So basically this end statement within the print is giving us 3 blank spaces in same row, right. So basically your cursor is now over here, fine. Now we'll go to this. Over here your k would be from range 1 to I is 1, okay, plus 1, right. So basically k would be from 1 to 2, right? Now how many times this loop will run? It will run only one time because basically it will start from 1 and it ends at 1 because we're not considering it, never, the range never includes 2, right. So from 1 to 1. So basically it will what it will do, it will print this ampersand and a space. So basically it will print an ampersand here and the cursor will wait here, right. Now so print only 1 ampersand and cursor. Okay, so wait, see. Now what this print does is, by default, as I mentioned earlier, print will give you a next line. If you, so over here value is nothing, and by default your end is /n, right. So it will give you next line. So the moment this particular print runs, it will go to this point, moves the cursor to next line. Now over here now I is 2, right. So your input number will be 4 plus this will be 2, right, and it will be 1 to 7, sorry, it will be 2, it will go here and this will be from 1 to input number 4 minus this will change to 2 and so on, right? So guys, this is how you try to mix pattern, and this will definitely help you in logical thinking. And next time if you have any problem in Python, you'll try to break that bigger problem into bits by bit and try to solve one at a time. This will help you in long run, and this will help you to be a good programmer. Thank you guys.